Hey, so I'm here with my younger sister,
Hi.
and she's 7,
Uh-huh.
almost 8,
Mm-hmm.
and we're gonna have just a really cool talk, aren't we?
Yep.
And a conversation?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. For the next minute or so, I want you to tell me basically your idea of what humans are all about with their computers and what they do with video games and that sort of thing.
Well, what I think that humans made computers for was that um, computers are for like games and technology, but mostly for technology. And computers have lots of apps if you get them, and there's lots of things you can do on a computer. And I think people have made video games because they wanted people to be happy, and so that people can have fun instead of just doing board games all the time.
Yeah, it seems like video games are a big level up from board games.
Hmm.
There's only so much you can do with board games. I mean, there's basically lots of endless ways you can make board games happen, but when you have video games, you get all of the colors and graphics and the lights and pixels, and you get to have all of the different, like the sound effects, and yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what I think that humans made computers and video games for.
How do you think computers work?
I think computers work of a microchip.
Off of a microchip? What are microchips like?
Microchips are these small little black things, and they're small, but they have a lot of technology in them.
Yeah, that's true. What does this lots of technology in them look like?
Well, last time I saw a video into go going down into a microchip, and it looked like a little rose, like roads,
Rows of roads?
no roads.
Roads?
Uh-huh.
Uh huh.
It, the wires, well, not wires, but the technology lines just looked like roads, and part of it looked like houses, like a little technology village.
Yeah. So,
It's a technology town.
mm, yeah, so those lines actually basically are wires, basically. They're little wires that have electricity flowing down them. And the electricity gets to the end of the wires and goes to these little transistors. And they're like little switches that can be on or off, right? Do you remember me talking about that before?
Yeah.
You remember this part?
Mm-hmm.
What do you remember about this part?
You mean about the on and off switch? Well, I remember that the on and off switch is like where the technology is basically um go coming and going and turning on and off like a switch.
Mm-hmm. What happens when you have lots and lots and lots of these switches connected together?
And makes
Does
um,
it make the screen do some amazing things in some really cool ways?
mm-hmm, like you and then scratch.
Hmm. Like, if somebody made something 3D, there's some math that's thinking about how the 3D is all of the angles and lines and colors are being arranged on the screen from each other, right?
Mhm.
So
Those little switches makes all of the movement and the colors and the lights and the sound go into it.
did we ever talk about how sort of the same kind of thing is happening in a human's brain?
Yep.
Do you remember we talked about how human brains have sort of like the same kind of switches, sort of like transistors, but um, these special kind of circuits or switches has like millions of them, like hundreds of millions of them in the brain, and we use them all to think.
Mhm.
And so when a computer thinks, it's using its switches, and when a human thinks, we're using our switches.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because even though we're not like a computer, we still have the switches on our brain that lets us think.
Yeah. If you really think about it, we're kind of like a special computer.
Mhm. A walking special computer. Well, robots are computers basically, but we can do more cool things than robots.
You think so?
Yes.
What if robots can do all of the things that people can do someday?
Can they poop?
What if they could someday?
What? I bet they poop out screws.
Yeah, I don't know, but what if what if in like 50 years or 100 years our robots were so more realistic that they did eat a food and get a type of energy out of it and then have a type of poop?
Huh?
Yeah.
That would be like weird because how could robots poop?
Well, what if they had a body built for them that was able to do that? Like a robot body that had like some weird kind of robot poop.
Yeah, well, when I was watching something in my show, there was this robot that was very, very strong, and it looked like a human boy.
Mm. A human boy robot?
Just walking, but it didn't even look like a robot. One of them thought it was a kid, just a normal kid, but then the kid threw him up into space
Oh.
because it was a robot.
Mm-hmm. So, what if robots could do all of the things that people could do, but even better than people could do?
Like open up right here and give us ice cream.
I guess they could open up and give us ice cream, but what if they were more than just an ice cream robot? What if they were like so smart that they could do like any kind of thing that a person could do, but way better, way faster, and way smarter? Would that basically mean that
Robots would take over.
I don't know. Does that mean that robots would take over, or does that mean that robots are better than us, or what does that mean?
It means that robots are better than us.
Does it?
But someday we'll get smarter.
You think? Smarter than a robot?
Uh-huh. When we go to school, when we go to work, when we go to college.
You learn to be smarter than a robot?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if the robot is kind of dumb. But what if the robot had so much knowing and knowledge and intelligence that it was able to really be so much smarter than the smartest people? What if it knew everything? And what if it could speak and talk and know about the world?
Oh yeah.
Like, what if it was a really smart robot? Not even just a robot, but like basically a computer AI that has a body. You know what I mean? Like not just a robot that's like beep boop beep boop, but like an actual really smart robot that has like a neural network as a brain.
Like this. Hi, I'm blah 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 blah.
Yeah, and they talk to you.
Like, how are you doing today? Do you need any questions solved?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I want to know something. How was the computer made, and when was it made, and who made it?
That's a long story, but it kind of depends on where we want to start with it. If we want to start with something that's like a machine that has like some thinking inside, well, then that started about a little over 80 years ago, or 85 years
Who
ago.
made the first computer?
There was a few different people that started making computers around the same time. But first of all, if we back up a bit, before there were computers as we know them, there were tabulating machines, and they were electric, and they did count things, but basically they were rigged up to have a certain type of math, and then they would count things over and over again. So it would be like every time that there would be like a married couple, like a man and a lady that are married, and back in the day, they would basically tabulate that and just and mark the counter as one, and then for the next one two, and for the next one three and four and five, until they counted up all of the married people in the country and had like thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands, right? And the only way that they could count up all the people that way was with these tabulating machines that you could basically like press the button or the key and it would make one more number to that variable. Remember we talked about variables?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember basically what a variable is?
Not really.
Not really.
I remember you talking to me about variables, but I don't remember kind of what you said.
Kind of the easy way to think about it is like a number that changes into a different number.
Oh yeah, a number like 1, 2, 3, 4, like seconds or minutes or hours. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
It's like,
so
wait.
you could have a variable that is the seconds and minutes and hours, and then every time that the seconds and minutes hours would change, those numbers or the variables would click up one, and they would tabulate up one and count up one.
What, when a second, a minute, and an hour and a day are variables, because second 1, minute 2, hour 3, day 4.
Weeks, months, years, decades, millenniums,
Centuries.
millenniums. Yeah, you're right. You got that. Good job.
Mm-hmm. What's a millennium?
A millennium is 1,000 years. A century is 100 years, and a decade is 10. So it's like adding times 10. We're adding a zero every time. It goes to the bigger one. So if we remember what variables are, it's like numbers that can change or count up or something, or like if you're Mario or Zelda or playing some game with health and you're a video game character with health, the amount of health that you have is a variable.
Like Roblox, whenever like you have guns in games, or like these bombs in games,
Mm-hmm.
and you get blown up or you get shot or like stuff, you'll get your health going down, and if you get your health all the way down to the like red, and then their health goes out, you die.
Yeah. There's literally a variable for if you're alive or dead. Not in real life, but I mean like in a game. Usually they have a variable for if you're dead, then the switch flips and it flips from on to off or off to on, and then you become alive or dead.
Yeah,
Because
and
if you're dead or alive is a variable.
yeah, and dead and alive can also be a variable by it counting up how many times you've died and
So
how
that's
many
another
times
variable.
you.
That's even another variable is how
Mm-hmm.
many times you've died.
How many times you've died and how many times you've revived.
That's also another variable. Probably in a big video game you would have tens of thousands of variables, at least hundreds.
Yeah, if it was a big game like Roblox.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how people made all those games. There's like hundreds and thousands of games on that.
Mm-hmm. It's just one step at a time. Like, you could build the biggest castle that's ever been made if you were able to just place one single brick at a time over and over and over and over for hundreds and thousands of bricks. And then eventually, just placing one brick at a time, you'd have a whole castle.
Uh-huh.
So it's like when you make a video game, you place just one little piece at a time and keep making little tiny changes and little tiny tweaks and little tiny things that are different each time until you have a whole big game.
Mm-hmm.
What are some other variables that you can think of?
Another variable I can think of.
Like almost anything in a game has different variables.
Yeah, like if you were playing a jungle game or a store game or like a beach game, you could count up how many for the beach game. You could count. There could be a variable for how many times you catch fish.
Mm-hmm.
And in the jungle game you can see how many times like you pick berries or like
Mm.
yeah.
Or like not even just counting every time you do something, but there can be variables for whether certain interactions happen or whether certain things are in certain special spots or certain special places or locations. So, like in video games, there are these things called bounding boxes, and these special boxes are like these invisible cubes, and usually they're like rectangles or cubes, like basically like squares or boxes. And basically you place them at certain spots like in a doorway or in front of something that you can use, and then if your character goes inside of that box and is touching the box, there are variables that will keep track of if you're touching inside of any of parts of the box, and if you are, then it will activate that next part of the code for like any kind of thing that you need to interact with. So it's just a tool that you can use as these boxes, these invisible boxes, to be able to like know where and how to do certain things in the game. So for example, there might be a certain type of bounding box either at the door handle or right in front of the door on the ground of a car. And then if you're within that box and you press a certain button, then you get inside the car and can drive. Or there might be like if you're at a sink or a bathtub or a shower in a Roblox house, there might be an invisible box that is in front of your sink or your toilet or your shower or your bathtub that lets you basically, if you're close enough, and then it lets you press into it and use it.
Yeah, like whenever like I'm in a Roblox bathroom, I go next to the toilet and stuff, and I go next to the sink. When I do this in Brookhaven, when I go next to the sink, there's this button that says wash hands. When I
Uh-huh.
go next to the toilet, it kind of puts me on the toilet like I'm using it.
Hmm. Yep. So That's like proximity sensor. It's basically a sensor for how close you are to something. That's what proximity means. If you're close to it, then it means that you're going to have the interaction is going to be triggered. So you could have a bounding box in a doorway, like at the front door of a bank or the front door of a hospital or something. And when you go there and you touch into the box, it can literally just switch you into being inside a different place in the hospital. Like suddenly you appear inside the hospital and it's like a completely different room.
Yeah, like it's usually like. Are you talking about like? I'm gonna tell you. Whenever I go into Roblox, I play these certain role play games, and whenever I go into this thing, I like walk up close to the place I'm going into, like sometimes into this white door that's going into the place I need to go, like a hospital or a mall or a hair salon. It it'll turn my white screen. It'll turn my screen white, and then it'll like turn it back to normal, and I'll be in the place.
Mm-hmm. So it's like you it's kind of a secret that kids don't know about, but people that make video games know about is that there's a special different spot that you make for your game as a place. It's the inside of a building, but it's not actually where the real inside of the building is.
So like in Adopt Me, there's like different worlds. There's like portals to different worlds, and like whenever you go into like to the hospital, it's on a different land, and then
Yeah,
when you go out, you're back at where you were.
yeah, it's just like that. There's when you're outside and you're looking at the building of the hospital, there's nothing actually happening inside the building of the hospital from when you're outside. But when you go to the entrance of the hospital, you are taken to a portal that takes you to a completely different world or land that then is the inside of the hospital.
Oh, and that's why there's so many lands just floating up.
Yeah, so sometimes if sometimes like let's say you have a building that's a hospital and you want to go inside of it, but it looks really small on the outside. It doesn't seem like there would be very much room to do anything on the inside, right?
Yeah, like whenever I see like small houses on the outside in some games, it's like ginormous in the inside.
Yeah, that's because the computer makes up a bigger space in a completely different space, in a completely different world. So it's like, you know how on my Meta Horizon worlds, how I have like the upstairs is one world, and then you go through a portal and it takes you to the downstairs.
Yeah, like you're going actually just walking on the downstairs and then you teleport to the downstairs when you're walking down the stairs.
Yeah, well, the upstairs and downstairs of the house are actually completely disconnected. They're not actually upstairs and downstairs from each other.
One's over here. It's like one's over here and one's over here.
Yeah, exactly. And it's sort of like the computer makes up an illusion of the space. It sort of tricks you into thinking that there's certain spaces at certain spots when really it's kind of like you go into it and then it generates a new spot at that place. You kind of get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So like there can be a portal
Nope.
to go outside, and then if you go to it, it'll take you to the outside of the building on the one side, or you can go into the entrance of the building and then it takes you to a completely different world. Sometimes these worlds exist under the ground of outside.
Oh yeah, because under like Brookhaven, there's like there's like so much land. Um, And also in Brookhaven, there's these houses that have secret rooms, and one of the houses have these glowing claws, and then you have to get another house that has this library on the downstairs, and then you have to tap this book, and then you're holding the you have to tap the button, the glowing button that's behind the books, and then you'll get teleported to this world, other world.
Yeah. So do you get how these invisible bounding boxes, these invisible cubes, can act like portals to different places?
Hmm.
Or they can like unlock things? You could basically have a bounding box that when you enter into it, it then unlocks the door for the next area.
Yeah, like also in Adopt Me, I go. I have. Still have this Easter update where we collect falling eggs from the sky, and it gives us like egg money, and then we can sell the egg money for real money to build houses. And yeah, and with that money, we like go into this little circle, and when we go in it, it says you're now in the like Easter event, and then we wait, and then it teleports us to a very different world, and then we start collecting, and then we go back and go away with our stuff.
Hmm.
Or if you, well, we don't have to go away, because sometimes I'm dressing while I'm in the circle because I'm waiting for a long time. So I just go in the dressing room in my Roblox basically inventory stuff, and then I just start dressing, and then once it's about to do the game, I stop dressing and I do it, and then after the event's done, I just stay in the circle and dress again because I don't want to move.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, I haven't said, but that world where you can go into the event, it's not connected to the main world. You have to walk up these stairs to a purple glowing portal, and then you'll teleport like back to the normal land area.
Mhm.
And also, there's a teleporter when you go to your house and when you go to the town. So, like, there's this big half rainbow that's white and it's glowing, and you go through it to go to your house, and then after you go back through it, and then you're going to basically where the park is and where all the jobs and stuff are.
Mm. Interesting. Do you have any questions?
About
Computers, video games, something that you don't understand in Roblox or Minecraft?
Minecraft, I wonder how they make, like, sometimes, like, why in when sometimes it's not raining when you're on the ground, but when you fly up, it's raining. And how does the rain not touch the floor if it's raining up above instead of on the ground?
I almost wonder if it has something to do with if you go up into the air, the computer is not thinking about the blocks as hard, so then it frees up its thinking enough to think about some rain harder. So it's maybe like the brain of the computer frees up some of its thinking to be able to think more about the rain. So maybe it triggers the rain when certain blocks are not no longer being thought about.
Yeah, like if I go up, we can't see the grass or my home anymore.
And it might have something to do with also trying to blur the vision to a certain degree.
Uh-huh. And if it's raining down below, if it's already raining on the ground, like it's raining on the grass too, you can fly up and it'll start snowing.
Like it might not take as much thinking to generate some rain and snow to make you not be able to see as much, But then if you can't see as much, it makes it so that it doesn't have to think about the blocks as hard.
And also when it's snowing just normally, you fly up and it's thunder. It's like a keychain, just adding more chains onto it.
Adding more chains? What do you mean by that?
Actually, no, it's like a train. There's lots of people on the different areas, like on the seats. If because it's like they're on a train or in a chain, like because we keep adding chains together to make something.
Do you have any more questions or ideas to talk about?
Um, do you know when Roblox was made or when Minecraft was made?
Minecraft at this point is at least, I think, 12 or 13 or 14 years old, maybe like 15 years old.
If they're 15 years old, they're
I think it came out around 2009, maybe 2010, but I think that makes it about 14 or 15 years old at this point.
yeah. Well, if it's 14, it just make it 10 years old. And if it was 15, it'd make it 9 years old. Like 2009 years old. And 2010 and stuff.
So it might be about 16 years old at this point. I'm not sure.
Do you know the age of Roblox?
I think Roblox came out around the same time. Either a little bit before or a little bit after, but right around the same time. I know that Roblox didn't get going for quite a while.
Huh.
Before Roblox was very popular with kids like you, it was considered a little bit cringe and a little bit low budget and kind of not good quality at first. But it started to gain popularity, and then they added a whole bunch of stuff where you could customize all sorts of stuff and make your own games and stuff. And then it became a platform for people to make all kinds of creations and activities and games and towns and role plays and stuff.
I'll tell you what's cringe. All the time when I'm just scrolling for games in Roblox, I keep seeing this one game that's called Poop a Friend.
Poop a friend.
I've played it, but it's like where you're you're like pooping and you have to like push at the bar. Yeah, there's like a bar you have to keep tapping at the bottom, but you have to like hold it, and then you're just gonna poop your friends, and then whenever you want you can flush it and do it again.
That's pretty silly.
Uh-huh.
See, it's gotten to the point where anybody that is dabbling in the creation of video games can make some weird creation or demo or level on Roblox and then have a bunch of people play some weird experience. They could just think one day, like, let's make a toilet game where you poop out your friends.
Oh yeah, and I've also played this Shrek game. It's this Shrek game where he's farting on this killer, this Roblox killer.
Oh.
It's a Roblox. It's a. People say it's a Roblox hacker. There's lots of hackers now, but you know I have seen a hacker. Like,
yeah.
seriously. When I was playing Brookhaven, I was trying to ban someone because they were being very annoying and robbing my house in Brookhaven. And they were like, well, I have admin. And they started flying. But we can never fly only with a helicopter or if it's Christmas time, like a Santa's sleigh.
Mm.
But he was literally just flying around with real admin. And he was basically like a hacker. Because guess what? The weirdest part, instead of just him having admin, I was trying to ban him at the time. And when I kept banning him, I was like, I banned him and I was like, okay, then he'll never come back because I banned him. And then when he tries to go in my house, he's able to, even though he was banned. It's like he's unbanning himself when he's
Yep.
basically just like
He's
a
giving
hacker.
he's giving himself privileges.
Yeah, he's a hacker,
Mhm.
basically. But people say most hackers are evil
Mhm.
because they're hackers like steal Robux, and steal accounts.
Mhm. Yeah, that sucks.
Uh-huh. Once I've got scammed in a game. It was a bad
Hey.
day when I got scammed. I was playing Bloxburg and like um I I someone said ABC for a house decorator in the builder, and so I said ABC and she came over to my house, and then I gave her permission to build on my house, and then she deleted everything of my house and started building her own house, and she said she didn't have any money, so I started giving her a budget, and then she said she still doesn't have any money. So, I, I just like thought of my sister and me, kind of like thought of giving her all my money, and then I did, and then I was like, and then she was like deleting everything she built so far, and she was like, haha, I got scammed. Like every scammer.
Did that cost you real Robux?
No, it was just Bloxburg money. They worked very hard for it. It was like a
Oh,
lot of money, like 2K or 2M.
gotcha.
I've went past 2K in money in Bloxburg.
Mhm.
The game we got scammed in. And now I know not to let anybody do anything on my house unless I know them and I'm seeing them do it. Like
Mhm.
if it was, and she had her own tablet, which she does, and she was playing with me. I can just watch her on her screen because we always sit together while we play and stuff, and and we like we just like hang out, and I can just see if she's good, and I can just tell her to give my, if she does scam me, I can just tell her to give my money back, or I can do it myself.
Mm.
Well, I can try. Or I can just give it to her and work harder again, like, because we go to work in that game to get money, like in real life. And then I'll just get the same amount, and like just give her money for free, I guess.
Mm. If you could make a Roblox game, what would you make?
A role play,
What would it be?
like a city role play with like everything. Ooh, I've always wanted to make like a game with a restaurant and candles you can actually pick up. And I've always liked to make it like, I wanted to make it like a little realistic, but not too realistic that it's laggy. But yeah, Hey, guess what? Since I was talking about realistic stuff, I've seen these videos. Well, not these videos, just a video I kept watching over and over again. That this person was playing Minecraft, where every time he dies, Minecraft gets more realistic. But not the villagers. The villagers in Minecraft, they just started getting weirder because they were still blocky. But the coolest thing when Minecraft was realistic was that the water was actually moving and sunlight was beaming down on it, making the sunlight reflect. And it was like so cool because it looked like real blue clear water. It was like so cool. Now, what do you want to talk about now?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know where to start again.
I guess we're done for now.
I guess.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, you can get out of here for now, I guess. I
Okay.
appreciate your time and effort and everything. I had a really good conversation. Thank you.
I had a great conversation with you. Thank you too. Goodbye.
Okay. See ya.
See ya.
Love you.
Love you.